Welcome to the first installment of InSource Solutions series focused on the power of the digitally connected worker. Over the next 3 months, we're going to be focusing on 3 technologies that our clients have demonstrated to be useful and valuable in achieving significant improvements in their operating results. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Scott Miller, and I'm fortunate to have been working with InSource for the last 15 of my 30 plus years in manufacturing industry. InSource is a great company for a lot of reasons, and not the least of which is that as an ESOP, we have the opportunity to share as owners in the success that we generate for our clients, as well as the fact that we have audacious goals. We really believe that we can play a significant role in revitalizing manufacturing in America and seeing our clients achieve over $1 billion in value as a result of that. And our tagline, "The technology alone is not enough," ensures that we focus on solutions that draw value from all aspects of our clients' businesses, including technology, process, and of course, people. We do this across a number of functions and a lot of different industry verticals. And there's a lot more I could tell you about InSource, but this is a good slide to close this on because my colleague there, David Wilt, is pointing out what we're going to talk about today, the one thing. That's right, one thing. This is an image from City Slickers, a great comedy from way back in 1991, starring Billy Crystal and Jack Palance. Billy's character is wrestling with all kinds of issues in his life, and he takes a trip out west with friends to join a cattle drive of all things. Jack Palance is a grizzled old trail boss who's humored by the antics of Billy and his City Slicker friends. And in a classic scene, he counsels Billy that it all comes down to one thing. By now, you're probably wondering what this has to do with some software called Teamwork. Well, in manufacturing and industrial settings, we all know that the real work happens on the front lines. It's those folks that are out there doing the work on the front lines and in the field. And it happens most effectively when our workers have the information they need, when they're trained properly, they know how to communicate, and they can do something with it. For years, I've worked with clients to provide just that, to do as much as we can to put that in their hands and make them effective. And yet there's still so much that we see today of the similar things from the past. Things like, the most common forms of interaction are still in person, which is good, that's appropriate, but it can be inefficient. A lot of text, a lot of email, a radio occasionally, none of which are really effective for the frontline folks. And when it comes to recording data and notes and capturing logs and the information that really is valuable, because we need those attributes in that context to know how to improve, it's still on tablets and spreadsheets and pieces of paper and logbooks, and sometimes even on people's hands, if you will. And think about SOPs, work instructions, one-point lessons. Every plant I walk into has some piece of paper posted somewhere, something in a sleeve, or those 3-ring binders that just have dust all over them, quite frankly. And of course, there's the ever-present need to onboard and train folks. We have turnover on a consistent basis, particularly today. Usually it's done in a training room, it's away from the plant floor, and usually it's managed by the bane of existence for supervisors and CI and training folks, that dreaded training matrix managed in Excel. And then folks like us, InSource, we provide all kinds of systems to collect data and provide reports. They're getting better, no doubt. There's really good stuff that's out there, and yet it's one more place to go, or one more place to enter information. These are all necessary tools for our frontline workers, and yet they're still a little bit disconnected. Over the years, I've heard so many clients lament on how they wish they could find the one thing, the one tool or application to pull these things together for the frontline folks. So no, this isn't about sharing the meaning of life, nor is it about the one thing that solves all of this. However, AVEVA Teamwork gets you awfully close. Teamwork is a performance support application designed specifically for industrial operations. It's really set up to empower workers with knowledge and the tools they need to improve their productivity and drive excellence in the operations. I'm going to show you a few ways in which this pulls some of those things together for you. And I'm going to be using an iPhone as my interface, but Teamwork, know this, is a software as a service application product, runs on mobile devices. All you need is a local app, if you will, or a browser. No hardware to purchase or maintain, just a mobile device and decent coverage in your plant. Let's take a look at it from a user, though. Let's start with Lisa, an operator. She's coming on shift. She's pulled her iPhone up. She's going to check the general news and the posts, as you can see, the stuff that's happened overnight. She's going to filter out and take a look at the shift handover. So this is what's been occurring with regard to her particular area in the plant. And it's a structured template that's already built out that gets issued out there, and even a picture of a whiteboard, as you can see, that she can see what's going on. Now, she's walking up for a Tier 1 meeting, and instead of browsing to it, she just snaps that QR code, and it pulls her to that location where she's able to see the news post for that particular shift and what's going on. She's able to check out a dashboard that has some performance content on it. This is actually a Power BI report that she can drill into and take a look at and see what the performance was last night. Could be all kinds of different legacy systems that you might connect with or bring to the table in a meeting like this. She also is interested in what happened on some maintenance issues that were out there. So she's going to filter the same view and look for just the maintenance issues that occurred, pull those up, and she can scroll through and take a look at some things that were occurring on her line or some pieces of equipment that happen to be right there. As you can see, it's easy to move around. It's easy to move through this application and get to what you need to see very quickly and very easily. Even drilling in to be able to see, say, some of the discussion that's going on, or some of the assignments that have been made. What assignments that are out there? So very easy at your fingertips. You can see what's going on in terms of what she needs to do to act once she gets in position, and not have to plan for or prepare for. Now, likewise, as a supervisor, I might be able to see all my calls for help. So these are the issues, the things that are going on the call for help Kanban board. I can filter for, look for just specific things in the plant that I'm interested in. And as you saw just a moment ago, I can drill in by selecting the ones and see the same thing that my users are seeing, my operators are seeing out there on the floor, and interact with and or respond with the things that are going out there on the floor. Now, let's move on to some issues. So like that call for help we were seeing, let's rejoin her on the floor. She's walked out to the wrapper on line A. She snapped a QR code. It's pulled her to that piece of equipment, and she's discovered there's an issue that's going on. She can't seem to resolve it. So she's snapped in. She's taking a look at what's going on. She's looking at some news posts of what may have happened around there. Perhaps she'll go in and check the production settings to make sure that's accurate, it's all set up properly. Or even look at the last clean, inspect, and lube form to see that that's been filled out properly. Was it completed properly, to see if something had been done. Now, the next thing she might do is, if she doesn't know how to fix it or she can't figure out what's going on, is she may go take a look at the troubleshoots that have been issued for this particular piece of equipment. So troubleshoot is essentially a short guide that points out issues. It allows you to drill in and take a look at what's going on, and gives you a guide to resolving frequently occurring problems, essentially. So kind of like a one-point lesson, if you will, but in a video format, or in the context of an image, as you see here. Well, turns out she's not able to fix it based on what she's seen. She can't figure out what's going on. So another option is to be able to engage an expert. Let's see if she can pull someone in. So she's going to create a call for help like you saw just a moment ago. And you'll see in this case, she's actually set it up with a context that sets up a template, a series of questions for an answer that's already structured in the tool itself. Once she gets this created and posted out there, you see it's only taken a few keystrokes for her to get it done. That'll get posted into the system. And now, because she knows that Liam's around and he's a good maintenance guy that knows what's going on, she's actually going to tag Liam on this and acknowledge, hey, can you give me some help here? I think something similar we've seen in the past. So she'll tag this post out there, and then on Liam's side, what you would see is it's going to fall to the front of his factory feed because he got tagged on something, which pulls him into what's going on. All this is being captured into a format that folks can access or look at, not just the operator, not just Liam, but everybody else who's actually in the system, because it's posted on the factory feed or the call for help Kanban that you saw just a few minutes ago. You can see how that's really valuable in terms of getting folks involved and addressing issues, not just in knowing about them, but actually being able to take action and use the content that's available. Now, you probably picked up on how Teamwork makes it easy to access that tribal knowledge, but let's go back and take a look a little more closely. The users, you can see here, can navigate to the line or the workstation or the equipment level just by clicking through a navigation tree. But they can also scan a QR code and jump right to that piece of equipment that they're at to access all the digital information and knowledge that's been generated and harnessed for that particular piece of equipment. It might be that call for help that you saw just a moment ago. And I'm going to show you something that's probably not generally done by an operator. We're going to convert that call for help into a troubleshoot like I talked about a moment ago. So think of this context. You've gathered all this information, you gather all the observations from folks, you take that call for help and convert it into a troubleshoot as you see here. You get it cleaned up, you make all the modifications to it that you need to, you get it approved, and then you can post it as part of the knowledge of what needs to be used to be able to be applied to managing that equipment. That's taking that tribal knowledge and experience out of folks' heads and actually putting it on the factory front floor. So you'll see there's a draft that's included there that's available for folks to take a look at. Now, obviously, you're not going to publish a draft for folks on the floor, and an operator is probably not going to be publishing a call for help or a troubleshoot, but it gives you a good, clear understanding of how easy it is to take the content that's already been generated and convert that into something that's of value to folks. You can include things like detailed documentation like you see here, a procedure where you might dive into it. You can also include the fact that there are experts that are out there. There's a tremendous amount of digital knowledge that can be harnessed and brought to the table for users to be able to use on the floor very easily and very quickly. And that great content can be deployed and managed as skills for users. So transition over to how do I create this into a learning tool, if you will. These skills can be built from scratch. They can be assembled from existing work instructions. They can link to existing content and legacy systems. Lots of different ways to take advantage of the content that you already have today. And as a user, you simply go to your own profile. You look at the list of skills that you've been assigned to. You drill into one of those skills. You walk your way through the skill to complete the steps. And then you can actually take exams as well. So as you can see here, I'm going to go through and check these boxes and get these taken care of. And when I get through with the exam, once I've checked the boxes and answered the questions to the best of my ability, it'll actually allow you to be scored. So I can see how poorly or well I did. In this case, I didn't do so well, didn't quite pass. So I'm going to go back and take a look at how poorly I did, the things I need to go brush up on. Now, this exam is just one way of checking what people are doing and how they're doing. And once I'm ready, I will ask to be endorsed. So once I've passed, once I've done the things that need to be done, I'll submit this and ask that I'll be endorsed. And that will go to whoever it routes to from an approval perspective. It might be my supervisor or somebody else. You'll see also that I don't have to go look these up. It prompts me with notifications as to either when something has been updated that I need to review again and be audited again on, or if there's a new one that's been posted for me to cover as well. And when I click on the notification, it takes me right to it, where I can get those knocked out and take care of them. So I'm not having to look for, I'm not having to figure out what I need to go as a user. And finally, I can go see how I'm doing in terms of work instructions and troubleshoots, how many I've viewed, how up to date I am. So quick and easy way of seeing how I as a user am doing what I need to do to be prepared to execute the job. I also talk about skills management. So the other side of the coin is the folks that are working on this and presenting it for the operator. So flipped over to, in this case, the browser view for Sam, who's a supervisor. And he's gone into his profile and has selected his team here. And you'll see Lisa's on his team. And you'll see each of the skills that all of his people have to complete and the various states in which they have completed them. So he's selected one that Lisa's done. He's going to work his way through. He can endorse her. You can see that a revision is needed. And you can see that there are some things that he needs to assess her on. So in addition to the exams, he's indicating that he's actually assessed her capability in doing these and determined that yes, she's mastered it. You can see she's passed the exam down there at the bottom. And he's going to scroll back up to the top and go through the endorsement process. And endorsement can be done in multiple stages. So in this case, she's mastered all the content. He's going to select the master component. You can add content and notes there in terms of where they are at in case there's work to be done. And then go ahead and endorse her, and then she'll show up with the full buckyball there that says, yep, she's prepared to actually teach and train in this case. So instead of having to manage this in a spreadsheet or manage this and administer this in a spreadsheet or figure out what needs to be done, it's all done in a simple interface. It can be done on the tablet or iPhone as well, but is easily presented here in the browser. So at this stage, I've shown you a lot of the ways users and frontline workers can benefit from this. There's a lot more that can be done from a continuous improvement, from a training manager perspective, not to mention from a manager, senior manager perspective, because all of this content is easily accessible and viewable there as well. And if you hadn't thought about it, I've shown you this on the handheld devices. Think about applying this with HoloLens or RealWear or something like that, some wearable, if you will, that gets people's hands off of the tool itself and actually out there and doing the work that they need to. We'll cover those in later sessions around teamwork. So I'm going to wrap up by acknowledging that old trail boss didn't give the answer to Billy. He really just told him to focus and think about what he needed to do to be able to be successful. I hope this session has provided a little more focus and informed you on what teamwork could do to get you closer to that one place for your frontline people to go. And please, thank you for your time. Appreciate your attention today, and I just look forward to you joining us for the next sessions that are coming up on AVEVA Mobile and AVEVA Asset Information Management. Thank you again.